And so we come to the conclusion of our first ever Christmas in July, and why not wrap it up with easily one of the great Christmas movies, if not the greatest Christmas movie of all time, and that is, of course, 1983's A Christmas Story. This is a movie that, kind of like some of the other films we've talked about, like Arthur Christmas, didn't really find its true following when it first came out. It was a well-received movie when it came out in terms of critical reviews, but in terms of the box office, it didn't do well at all, and it sadly felt like a film that, again, kind of like Arthur Christmas, was going to get pushed to the side and just never find its true calling. But then 1987 came around, and that's when the movie started playing on a major television network. It's not really a major television network because nobody ever really was offered the movie. NBC didn't want it on its holiday schedule. CBS rejected the film as too dark, and ABC said they never were even offered to it. So instead, it got syndicated through local television stations and slowly but surely began to attract a following. And then Ted Turner came around when TBS was around. And then on December 16th, 1987, the film began airing more often on that network. In 89 and 90, they showed it on the night of Thanksgiving, and they showed it on Christmas Eve. In 1991 and 92, they would show it countless times on there. And ever since then, it's become that one holiday tradition that has been shown over and over and over again. And even so, to the point where in 1997, TNT began the now traditional 24 Hours of a Christmas Story marathon, which later went over to TBS in the long run. And every year, those airings have gotten more popular. They've been rated highly. Like, you cannot watch these and not think to yourself, like, there's going to be one point during during either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day where you're going to watch A Christmas Story once, whether you like it or not. There could be NBA and NFL games playing that day, but you have to make at least one opportunity of the 12 times that this movie plays on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day to watch it. I mean, this thing's been shown thousands of times. I mean, more than that probably, ever since its first television premiere back in 1985. And yeah, truth be told, it's a film that has definitely been very much kind of ruined by the oversaturation of the film in terms of its marketing and the merchandising that it sells, all the different adaptations we've had. We'll get to those in just a minute because there have been actually some good continuations of the story. But let's talk about the movie itself, as if you really need to know what the story is about. It's December of 1940, and you follow a young boy named Ralphie Parker, played by Peter Billingsley, and you follow him and his family's misadventures during Christmas time during that particular season. And of course, Ralphie, all he wants for Christmas is a Red Ryder carbine action 200-shot range model air rifle. Ooh. And of course, the mother is just like, no, you'll shoot your eye out. And that's the whole thing. The whole thing about the movie is trying to convince the family to get him this BB gun, and that's pretty much it. While you also have all these different little adventures going on with the family and all these people around this town, because you have all these different subplots. You have the subplot about Ralphie's best friend sticking the tongue on the ice pole. Then you have a subplot about the kids getting away from the bully Scott Farkas. There's a subplot about Ralphie's brother who can't put his arms down when he's in the sweatsuit. There's a subplot about his father, played brilliantly by Darren McGavin as the old man, who wins an award which turns out to be a leg lamp, and his wife Melinda Dillon, who is extremely uncomfortable with this thing in the house. And you never know, like, what's great about it is that you never know how far she's going to go at first, but then that moment happens when the leg lamp breaks and she's just like, I have no idea what happened. I was just cleaning and I broke your lamp. And you still have no idea of whether or not, like, you never realize until she actually comes out and says it, how much she hated this lamp, where she's just like, because the old man thinks that she's jealous because it was a major award he won, and she just tells it to her face, just like, that thing is the ugliest lamp I've ever seen in my entire life. And it leads to one of the greatest lines in the movie from Darren McGavin, where he's just like, get the glue, and she's just like, we're all out of glue, and Darren McGavin's just like, ugh! You used up all the glue on purpose. And then, you have the narration of Gene Shepard talking about how the old man was so frustrated that all he could say out was this, and he goes like, not a finger! And like, little moments like that are great throughout the movie. There's all these different subplots going on here. Of course, there's the thing about, Ralphie has to write the essay about what he wants for Christmas. And then, of course, when it doesn't work and his teacher also tells him, you'll shoot your eye out, he thinks, well, clearly I got to go to Santa Claus, because Santa Claus will be the one to say, hey, I'll help you out, kid. And then, of course, you got the great scene with the Santa up at the top of the building. And, again, kind of like with the Flintstone Christmas, it's just great to see this building that they're in, this store, decked out for Christmas. I mean, it's really impossible to see the level of detail in these decorations that this movie has in real life anymore. Like nowadays you see like the minimalist Christmas decorations possible, but back then they were just like, fuck it, Christmas all over the place. Like, Santa's literally on top of a mountain in the store. Like, just, it's absolutely incredible. And of course the great scene where even Santa has to come out and tell the kid, you're gonna shoot your eye out, kid. And just like, if Santa can't help you, you're pretty much screwed at that point. But luckily his dad does get him in at the end. It's a great scene in particular where Ralphie kind of feels like, hey, I didn't get what I wanted, but that's fine. And then the dad plays that great game. It's a great thing about Christmas in particular, when you think you've got all your presents and then your parents are just like, hey, what's that over there? It's that surprise gift. And then, of course, that's the big gift that you want. And he gets the BB gun. And, of course, it leads to that great resolution where he gets the BB gun, he takes it out, he shoots his eye out, like he says, and basically ruins his glasses, but of course he finds a way to get around it, and he pulls off a great lie in general. And the film overall, and that's just what the movie is great about. Like, there's so many moments in this movie that are so good on their own. Like, I mean, of course, you got the great scene with Ralphie in the bunny suit. You got the great scene with Ralphie, with him in the bathroom trying to figure out the message to little orphan Annie, and it's be sure to drink your Ovaltine. I mean, it's little things that happen around the holidays. It's not a big major plot going on here. It's just little things in particular. It kind of reminds me a little bit of something like an episode, like you would see in an episode of The Amazing World of Gumball. Like, for some reason, I see a similar situation happening to this family in a regular episode of that show, except it's more chaotic than what happens in this movie in particular. The most chaotic thing that happens in real life is the Bumpus Hounds. Like, I mean, that stuff right there is great stuff in general. And technically there's a lot of stuff in here that would be kind of, ooh, that's a little much to do in today's world, but it was 1983, and you gotta remember that was a different period of time. And yeah, it's not something we won't want to do nowadays, but don't pretend like it did. It's just something like, you can't pretend like this didn't happen. And that's one of those things where you remember that Looney Tunes opening with the Warner Brothers thing, with the Warner Brothers intro card, that basically the disclaimer saying that the thing it says at the beginning, the cartoons you're about to see are products of their time. They may depict some of the ethnic and racial prejudices that were commonplace in American society. Those depictions were wrong then and are wrong today. When the following does not represent the Warner Brothers view of today's society, these cartoons are being presented as they would originally created, because to do otherwise would be the same as claiming these prejudices never exist. So yeah, that's something. There's definitely a lot of those things where, yeah, this wouldn't fly today, but getting rid of it would be basically pretending like this was never a thing, because it's not like this is something that had happened it's the first time ever. Everyone knew that this was going on at some varying points in time, and lo and behold, it's fine for what it is. But yeah, it's definitely something where you can be a little iffy about it, but don't pretend like it just didn't happen at all. Like, that's the thing about this movie. It's just like, it's a movie that just works on so many levels. The ending of the movie alone, and it just works nowadays, now that we've lost both Darren McGavin and Melinda Dillon. That great scene where it's the night of Christmas Day, and they shut the lights off, and the dad's just like, come out here and take a look at the snow, and it's just them looking at the snow in awe, and like, that's Christmas right there. Just little simple moments like that. And then ends, of course, with Ralphie with his BB gun in the bed, and his brother Randy with the I think he still had the Zeppelin in his hand too, in his arms while he was sleeping. And that's how the movie ends. It's just like, it's a great way to conclude this movie. And it's a film that is just so perfectly handled in so many ways. It's a film that is still very funny after all these years, and it was a thing that they tried to make into a franchise. I mean, they've tried so many ways to continue the story. We had My Summer Story, which wasn't a bad movie, but it wasn't great either. We had A Christmas Story 2, which was a straight-to-DVD mess of a film. And then we had the Christmas Story Live with a lot of people in that trying to do the same thing that they did with NBC had with the live musicals back then. And those ones were all not great things at all, especially Christmas Story 2 was the worst one. But I'll tell you this, in terms of the old man, each one of those had great old men in them. Like Charles Grodin in My Summer Story is great. Daniel Stern was one of the few things I really liked about A Christmas Story 2 when he took on that role. And you can never go wrong with Chris Diamantopoulos in the Christmas Story Live. I mean, that was pitch perfect casting right there. That thing may have not worked, but that was great casting right there. The best sequel they've ever done to this is A Christmas Story Christmas. It's the one, and it was the one that just came out not too long ago. Not but about, I want to say 2-3 years ago. And it's funny because a year before that, they had another movie that they were trying to make the next Christmas Story, which is a great movie, which is 8-Bit Christmas, which is a really terrific film with Neil Patrick Harris in it, doing kind of the same thing, but this time it's basically replaced Ralphie and the BB gun with this kid and the Nintendo, and that's a great movie in general. But I like what A Christmas Story Christmas did, because it takes place 33 years after after A Christmas Story, where the old man has died and he's come back home to his mother, and he's got a family of his own, and it's just a very good continuation of the story that doesn't feel phony. It doesn't feel forced by any means necessary. It's got Peter Billingsley back once again as Ralphie, and it's a really good movie. It's a very well-made film. It's definitely nowhere near as good as the first movie, but it's still a sequel that isn't trying to be a straightforward cash grab like A Christmas Story 2 was, or the other adaptations of A Christmas Story were. And I think it's a very beautifully put together movie. Not everything about it works, but the film overall is a very well done film. It's definitely one I recommend checking out, along with A Christmas Story. I mean, Christmas Story to me is the definitive Christmas movie. I mean, this is a film that is just so perfectly handled in every way. It's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. And it's a perfect way to end our first ever Christmas in July. I hope you guys enjoyed this. And hopefully we can do this more often every year now. I think this is something that could be a new thing. Because I would love to talk about other movies that don't really get the appreciation that they deserve. Like films we've talked about, like Klaus. Or specials like the Community Special, or Family Guy, or Opus and Bill. Or even something as recently as Arthur Christmas and The Christmas Carol 84. And a lot of the stuff we've talked about on here definitely is stuff I've mentioned in passing. Could definitely make for some great episodes down the road here. So I hope you enjoyed this, and hopefully I'll see you back here in 2026 for the next Christmas in July. So, happy early holidays to you, and I'll see you next time.
In the blackness lay my oiled blue steel beauty, the greatest Christmas gift I had ever received or would ever receive. Gradually I drifted off to sleep, pranging ducks on the wing and getting off spectacular hip shots.